Hi, everyone. I've been listening to judicial committees, and an issue of your sincerity and I have been kind of swapping links. And, he's kind of curious as to my take on some of these judicial committees. And so I'm here to share my take. And I've been in a judicial committee as well. I don't remember everything that was said, but I certainly remember how it felt. And so my take on these judicial committees that I'm listening to is that they are very similar to the Spanish Inquisition. The accused was taken before the court. And, they can say that they're not they're not playing judge and jury all they want, but it's called a judicial committee. You have a right to appeal. There's witnesses, there's accused, the accuser, etc. So it's very much like a court, and they do play judge and jury, no matter how much they claim they don't. And one thing that I'm finding similar is in the Spanish Inquisition, when you were brought before the court, you often didn't know who your accusers were, or you never got to face your accusers. And this is also very similar in the judicial committees that I'm listening to. Either they are not told who the accusers are, or if they are, the accusations are delivered in letter format. So they never get to face their accusers. And what's interesting is that in the Spanish Inquisition, hearsay was admissible. And it's the same in these judicial committees. One brother's word against another's brother's word is accepted when it comes to questioning the organization. It seems like the two-witness rule is only saved for serious offenses like child molestation and murder. Other than that, hearsay is perfectly acceptable. They claim that you can have a defense. You show up with a lawyer, though, the meeting is over. They will not hold a judicial committee with a lawyer present. And anybody you do bring in your defense, you're not allowed to be in the room while they speak with the lawyers. So who only knows what kind of abuse they're taking in your defense. One brother in particular, that the judicial committee that I listened to, he started having questions about the organization. So he started stepping down in his positions. And he was brought before a judicial committee on something he apparently said to somebody else over a year ago. So he really wasn't being brought in for the accusation from over a year ago. He was brought in so that they could question him on why he was stepping down, because he became suspect by taking those actions. In the Spanish Inquisition, when you were brought before the court, they wanted two things. They wanted you to admit your mistakes, and they wanted you to turn in others. And it's the same thing in a judicial committee, especially when it's regarding issues of the organization. They want you to conform. They want you to admit your questions, conform to their reasoning, and turn in anybody that you may have spoken to so that they can be put on the chopping block as well, or marked, or whatever actions they will be taking. But yeah, it's about admitting, conforming, and turning in other people. It's all about, the Inquisition was all about purity of faith. That was their claim, that it was all about purity of faith. They were going to purify your faith. Well, the Judicial Committee is exactly the same thing. They're going to purify your faith. If you are having sincere questions and don't admit freely that you are completely wrong and conform to their form of mentality, in the Spanish Inquisition, they would torture you. They do exactly the same thing in the organization. It's called marking. They have public talks directed to you. And you know the rumor mill in the organization, in the congregations. Everybody knows exactly who they're talking to. And you will get feedback and treatment accordingly. It's psychological torture. If they cannot make you conform through the torture, then you are publicly put to death. They do the same thing in the organization. It's called disfellowshipping. You are dead to them. You know, they even tell you you don't even bother praying. You're completely dead. There's no hope for you. So that's a psychological torture as well. Another thing in the Spanish Inquisition that they would do while you were under fire or being executed was they would seize your property. They do the same thing in the organization. They may not come and take your car and your dog and all that kind of stuff, but they take your family, they take your friends. If you work for a Jehovah's Witness, they'll take your job. If you rent from a Jehovah's Witness, they will take your house. They will take your reputation. They will take your property. So it's really exactly the same as the Spanish Inquisition. If you do take steps to get reinstated, they do make sure that they break you down. The reinstatement process is a long process where you are psychologically tortured by being in a room full of people who treat you as if you were dead. And they make sure that you suffer. Because if you do come back, they want you properly broken down so that you will never question this again. So that they will have complete control over you. That you're broken. You are a broken person. And I've seen it too with the Jehovah's Witness apologists. There are many of you that are trying to defend this organization. And what I hear is, and what I read, is you trying to convince yourself that you're doing the right thing. And what often comes out is, I was disfellowshipped, and I'm not going through that again. They have broken you down. And now it's just the process of you continually trying to convince yourself to stay in line, to stay with the program, because they have broken you down. And it really breaks my heart to read those. But one of the things, or not one of the things, in the Spanish Inquisition, some of the motivating factors in why that was going on was control. They wanted 100% control of the people, greed, and prejudice. And it's the exact same thing in the organization. They want 100% control of your mind. And I've seen it. I know it from myself. This is not me just pointing fingers. This is. I was the same way. We shared the same brain, and witnesses share the same brain. It's interesting. I can see a question posted on YouTube, one on one of the forums, and then another on Facebook. The same question. 3 different witnesses will answer it almost verbatim, exactly the same. You know, when I first started watching YouTube, and they would have these "How to Witness to a Witness" mock-ups. And they would bring up the question, and I would knee-jerk. I knew exactly what to say. And the witness would say exactly the same thing that came to my mind. The next question, I knew exactly what to say. And the witness would answer exactly what came to mind. We share the same brain. If you're not willing to share the same brain, you can't be a witness. It's that simple. It's all about 100% control and conformity and 100% unity. And if they question that at all, you're on the chopping block. And one other thing that's very interesting with these judicial committees is it doesn't matter if they go on for hours or if they go on for days. They always end the same way. Do you believe in this organization? It doesn't matter what you believe about God. It doesn't matter about what you believe about the Bible. It doesn't matter about anything. And even one, I heard them say, the guy on the chopping block asked the question about, but what if this isn't true? It's not true. And the elder said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about the organization and nothing about the truth. And it is ironic that all of these judicial committees that I hear all end in the same way. Where are your loyalties to this organization? What is your belief in this organization? It's all about the organization, the organization, the organization. And this organization is not God, but they have to have control. The other part of it was the prejudice. And that's very true in the organization. It's within the organization, granted, the races may intermingle freely. There may be no signs of prejudice, traditional prejudice inside the organization. But outside the organization, if you're not one of us, you're to be hated. Hate apostates, hate the worldly, hate religion, hate anybody that's not us. You are taught to hate everybody that is not a witness. And you have to have that mentality because according to you, all these people are going to die. You have to hate them in order to ease your conscience and look at them in the face. So it's all about prejudice and control. And then lastly is the greed. It is also about greed. This organization is a $1 billion a year organization, and it's just getting fatter. All of this property that they're selling, something like $40 billion in property sales. This is a fat company. And as long as they can keep you conformed and keep you sharing the same brain, they have access to your wallets as well. And they show you all of the time in the literature how you can donate your life insurance policies, donate your houses, donate your piggy banks, etc. And they have a labor force of millions that either work for free or work for an allowance. And it's a pitiful little allowance. So they don't have any money going out, and they have billions coming in. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. And I just found the similarities between the Spanish Inquisition and judicial committees, especially those that are questioning this organization, very scarily similar. And for those of you witnesses out there that are going, you're just a big fat liar, if you've never been on the other side of those doors, you have no idea what goes on in there. If you have, maybe you do. But if you haven't, take a listen. Take a listen to a couple of them. You're going to see the similarities. And these are judicial committees, different times, different countries, different years. Some of them are years apart. And some of them are different issues. But you'll see that they all boil down to the same thing. Loyalty to this organization. It's all about conforming to this organization, loyalty to this organization, or they will publicly execute you and torture you for as long as they can. Well, anyway, that was my opinion. I could talk about this for days because the similarities are just, there's tons of them. There's tons of them. But these were like some of the key points. And, I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this, and I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.